I was like, couldn't he use some other move? You know, he would always say, Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt, Pikachu! Pikachu! Use Thunderbolt! Over and over again. It was amazing. But I guess we don't get tired of hearing that. It is pretty awesome, actually.
Is there any one memorable moment that stands out? Is there one, oh my god, I'll never forget that cosplay, that sort of time?
So, one girl made a bra papier-mâché Pokeballs, which I thought was pretty amazing. But worse was her wanting me to sign them, and then we were very close for that signing. Okay. Not awkward, just hilarious, because I don't know that she fully thought that out, that I'd have to be that close to her. But you know what I love is that so many couples come as Ash and Misty or Ash and May. And they cross, so the girl is Ash and the boy is Misty, and it's been extraordinary to see that. I mean, one of the most amazing things for me about conventions and cosplay specifically is that people can do anything they want, and to have that sense of humor about it, and it's just incredible, and that you can work on it at home together and then come, or a bunch of friends have come as many different Pokemon characters or different Pokemon, all this group of them, or Sailor Moon is great for that. A lot of people come as a big group, and that's really neat. And the energy that those people come with, that's what I remember more than like this costume was gorgeous and handmade, which I've seen an amazing amount of things that I can't believe people have made in their houses. But it's the energy and the joyfulness. That's what I really remember the most.
What inspired you to become an actress? What TV did you like as a young girl?
My parents are actors, so I did my first play when I was 5, and during that performance I decided I wanted to be an actor, actually. And I never rethought that until I graduated from grad school and thought, should I have tried something else? And now I think it's too late. But I don't know that it was, I saw a lot of theater when I was growing up, and my parents did a lot of theater, so I was always around that, and that's just part of my life. So I don't think, it wasn't necessarily TV, although I was a big Speed Racer fan, but we didn't watch a lot of TV especially when I was really small. Later, you know, in the good old days when we all watched TV as a family, you had one TV and you're all in the same room, I still think that's really important, and it was watching stuff with my family or Saturday morning cartoons with my brother, you know, that kind of stuff. It's the community aspect of it, not necessarily, I mean, I did do interviews in my room where I interviewed myself, so I did. Okay, so it all had some effect, but that was just me acting out, like doing stuff, trying to figure out things, and doing a play at school, or, you know, it's more theater, I think, that got me wanting to be an actor and kept me wanting to be an actor. My background is theater, and I happened to get recommended for an audition through an acting coach. I booked that job, and they said, oh, could you audition for this? And, you know, then things just kind of went on from there. So I would say the very short answer is training and networking, ultimately.
And you lend your voice to a lot of characters. Can you talk a little bit about the process of that, and how that differs from performing on stage, for instance?
Yeah, sure. So I do a lot of cartoons and audiobooks and language programs that teach you a different language. I do all kinds of voice-related work, and so I would say that every single thing the approach is always the same. Who is the character and who is the audience? So even when I'm working on something that's going to eventually be like a phone answering machine, I'm thinking about the person who's listening and what they need to get from it. As a character, I think about where they carry their energy, how old they are, what kind of a person they are, where they're, how much confidence they have, you know, all of those things, and then that filters into how the voice comes out. Normally when you audition for a cartoon, you get a tiny blurb about how old they are, what they're, I don't know, tiny things like 10, bossy, very smart girl, whatever, and then you just have to come up with something. A sheep, a pig, whatever. When you do an audiobook, I mark through all the characters and figure out who they are, and then I kind of map it out to make sure, like if there's 5 main girls, someone's going to be higher, someone's going to be lower, someone's so you kind of figure it out that way. Technically, that's the whole thing.
And so you very much down to your imagination, because you haven't got your environment
so
to
much
bounce
so.
off and feed off either as well.
Yeah, you're really all in here all the time, because you also, as you're, like for an audiobook, as you're reading it, you're imagining the characters just as you do when you actually read a book, but you're doing it and speaking as they would, and switching around. So I would say it's very much all in your head. And you're alone most of the time.
I was going to say, what's the relationship with the director, for instance?
Yeah, usually there's, for cartoons, you usually have a director, whether it's on the phone, because I'm in LA and I'm working with someone in New York, or someone somewhere else, and then, or you're in person, you have an engineer and you have a director, and then it's all collaborative, definitely, because you're all working to get the best possible outcome, the best representation. And when you're providing the voice for something, it's not just like, oh, I've just come up with this idea. You have to say, what do you want? How can I be what you want me to be? And then a little bit of yourself comes in.
A bit of acting is reacting as well. So
totally.
Is that difficult because you don't necessarily have anybody to bounce on?
Yeah, so in most of the time you get a script for a cartoon and you are imagining what the other characters have said. So you have to skim through and then imagine what they've just asked you so that you can respond. And a lot of times you have to be very quick on that, because you can't repeat. If someone says, should we go get a cup of coffee? You would say, I'd like to get a cup of coffee at this place. You have to say, oh, we could get coffee there. So you have to figure out how you really talk and listen, and you're doing that all in your head too.
And I imagine as well, you're having to give, because you don't know what the end product is necessarily, you're having to give the director different options,
right,
and tone to work with an form of expression.
Exactly.
As well. So that must be quite difficult, the repetition.
Yeah, and for video games too, because you don't know how that one line is going to pop out in the story. Sometimes you're in a scene, and sometimes you're just doing reactions. And so you have to give like 3 different takes, and so you're varying it, and then they're thinking about it, and then you do a couple more, and then so it's all trying to think of just options, really.
Have you ever jumped in and had a bit of cosplay yourself?
No.
Okay.
I dress up for Halloween, like that kind of thing, but I don't ever go to a convention in a costume. Mm-hmm. This is it, man. I take a shower, okay?
There one particular character or either in game or animation that you would really love to voice that you haven't had the opportunity to do?
Every single thing I audition for and don't get cast. I do so many auditions, and then so you get cast in so few things comparatively. When I audition for something, I think about it and commit to it as if I'm already playing the part. But I really love working. I love playing characters that are very different from myself. So I would always say superhero or something like that, because also people identify with that. I've been lucky to work on Pokemon, and then, which nobody knew of really when I started. Ninja Turtles, we all kind of knew about it. Those kind of things, those are big shoes to fill when you know that people have preconceived notions about it, like playing Wonder Woman or Spider-Man or something. People already have an idea of what that should be, and as an actor you have to remove yourself and just do what the director, the producers want you to do. So you can't really think about your hopes and dreams, you just have to kind of accept the job. So really I just like working. I just want variety, for sure.
Do you have a favourite character of the ones that you do?
Yeah, I would definitely say Ash. I played him for 8 years, and it's extraordinary to be able to play a character that long. When I've been on tour with theater for a year doing a show, it's really fantastic, because you're in that character for so long, night after night, in different spaces and different audiences, and you really, it's great to be able to think as someone else in terms of that. So with Ash, I was able to do that. April for Ninja Turtles, that was a couple of years I had that, and it's somewhat similar, but not as intense, because Ash got to do a lot more than April. So, much more action. So I think that's probably...
Do you find with playing the character Ash for so many years, was there any sort of point throughout them years you found a little struggle, or was it very fluent throughout? You just enjoyed the whole process straight through?
I totally enjoyed the whole thing, which sounds like I'm making it up, but I really loved going to work to play that character. And then I also played other characters at the same time for that, and when I went to work, I would work on that show for 2 hours and then go do another show, and so my day could be a few shows all at once because they were all in the same building. But no, it wasn't hard, and I never thought, oh God, this is just, I wish I had something else, or I hope this ends. I never had that, ever. Plus, my daughter was born at the end of the first season, so as a mom who has kind of a normal mom life, in terms of like getting my kid up and getting to school, and then getting to go and be a 10-year-old kid for a while, it was quite a nice release. So I think that helped my mom skills, for sure. You can ask her about that later. But
You've played male characters before.
Yeah.
Did you ever find it hard to manipulate your voice to reach a male sort of tone? Obviously Ash is quite high.
Yeah, so he kind of is in here, and I don't normally play in an audiobook. A lot of the guys are down here, very swarthy. Some of them are really low. I made a mistake in one book where the guy, he was like really gravelly, and then I'm on the 8th book now, so I made a mistake on that. But I didn't know it would go on so long. But yeah, it's not so hard. I think if I'm not taking care of my voice, then it's harder I lose bits of my range. Like after traveling a lot, sometimes I lose the high or the low. So that's where I have a problem with it, but otherwise, not really. Yeah, I'm going to say never. No. I'm a superhero.
Was it just
photos?
And baby Mario, let's go! Yippee!
Well, he says, the little bastard finally killed me.
Thank you.
Helicopter?